So this is lesson 4 in the series of 6 lessons in Unit 3 in the NCFE Equality and Diversity course. So I'm going to go through everything that you need to do in order to fill in the boxes that answer questions 8, 9 and 10. So you can see from this overview where lesson 4 fits in and the questions that we're going to be answering. So we're going to be looking at sanctions for those who breach policies on equality and diversity, the consequences for companies who don't create or maintain a diverse and equal environment, and additional duties for public sector organisations under the equality laws. So we're going to start off by answering question 8 and question 9. So 8 covers the sanctions that an organisation can put in place if someone breaks the policy or code of conduct. And then number 9 looks at the consequences for an organisation or a company if they don't try to create a diverse and equal environment. So let's start with what an employee, somebody who works for a company, might do to break the policy. This is just to give you an idea of when sanctions are put in place. You don't need to use this to write the answer for 8, but it's just there to inform you before we start talking about sanctions. So, in box 8, you've been asked to describe the sanctions an organisation can apply to employees for breach of their policies where equality and diversity are concerned. So what you have to do is use each of these sanctions and you have to write a short description for each one. So I'm just going to go through each one now to help you understand what they mean. So, an informal warning. What happens when someone's given an informal warning? So you need to write a short description to describe what happens in the case of an informal warning. The person is spoken to. It's informal, so it's a chat. It's nothing serious at that stage, but the person is warned, and if they broke the sanctions again, then it would go up to the next level. They might then get a formal warning. With a formal warning, the person is spoken to officially. So there's an official meeting where they will sit down with their boss who will tell them what they've done. They'll be given a letter which will be added to their file. So it means that what they've done is put on record. So should they do it again, then those 2 incidents are going to be added together, and it could mean that they may possibly get dismissed or sacked. With a demotion, again, you just have to write a short description of what it means. What it means is you will lose your current position in the company. You'll still work for the company, but you'll be paid less, you'll have less responsibility. What about transferring somebody? What happens in that case? Again, you're just going to write a short description to explain what that is. So they're moved to another office or an area of the company. So it may even mean that they're moved away from the person that they have maybe been racist towards or harassed or whatever the breaking of the sanction is. They're going to get you away from that person. So you'll go somewhere else. You could be suspended without pay for a limited period of time. So you're sent home, you don't come into work, and you're not paid while you're suspended. So I suppose you could compare it to being temporarily excluded from school. That's your punishment, and then when you come back, you're supposed to have changed your ways and improved your behaviour. You could be trained. You could go on a training course. You're sent on a course to try and improve your conduct. You're going to learn the correct way to behave, the correct procedures to follow. It's going to educate you as to why what you did was wrong. So hopefully you can put it right. And then the most serious and severe sanction of all is dismissal without notice. So straight away you will be sacked from your job. You will no longer work for the company. And that happens immediately. You're not given any warning about that. And that is the worst sanction, because that is it. You have received the ultimate punishment. You no longer work there. You have lost your job. So just make sure that you give a brief description of each one of those sanctions and write it in an extended paragraph in box 8. You could pause this video now and complete box 8 before we move on to box 9. So question 9 asks you to describe the consequences for an organisation of not trying to create or maintain a diverse and equal environment in each of the following areas. So you have to look at legal consequences, economic, that means money, social, moral consequences. So here you can see a list for each one. So this will give you some ideas to start writing your paragraph into box 9. The legal consequences for an organisation that fails to create or maintain a diverse and equal environment, they could put themselves at risk of legal action. So they could be sued by the person who feels they haven't been treated equally and fairly. Employees may take their case to tribunal or court. So the people who've been discriminated against or treated unequally may take their case to court. It'll be difficult to defend their actions because they have no policies or procedures in place. So they can't say, this is what we were doing and we were doing the right thing, because they won't have any evidence to prove it. The economic consequences. The benefits of a diverse workplace are lost. And if you remember from previous lessons, a diverse workplace can be a really productive workplace where lots of work gets done because everybody is putting in their input and they've all got different points of view. And if they're treated well, people will work well in a diverse environment. They may not understand the needs of diverse customers. So if they haven't got lots of different types of people working there, they may not understand the lots of different types of customers that they have to cater for, that they have to deal with. They wouldn't have a variety of experiences with different people in their staff. They'll only know one way, and that's not going to help them expand their business. Legal action could lead to financial loss. So if they are sued, they will have to pay the person who's suing them. They'll also have to pay solicitors and barristers and so forth. So they're going to lose money. They could lose customers due to a negative image. People may not want to use their company if they know they are racist, or they think they're racist, or they think there are racist people working there. Social consequences. The reputation of the organisation would suffer. So again, if it gets around that they haven't been treating their employees fairly, then that's going to put people off. The organisation would not be seen as morally or socially responsible. And that's important to some people, isn't it? That people are treated fairly and properly. Nobody may want to work there, so they may not be able to employ new staff, because if you know that racism or sexism is taking place in that company and you're somebody of a minority, or you are a woman and you know that women are treated badly there, you are not going to want to go there. So the company is going to sort of stagnate in a way, isn't it? It's going to stay the same. It's not going to advance. It's not going to improve because they're not getting new people in there. Okay, so use all of those arguments to write your small paragraph for each of those consequences. Again, if you want to pause the video now to complete that question before moving on to question 10. So, question 10 asks you to outline any additional duties placed on public sector organisations under equality legislation, under the law, in other words. So, public authorities have specific duties under the Equality Act. So, you could include these 2 bullet points in question 10. They've got to publish equality information at least once a year to show how they've complied with the equality duty, to show that they are doing what they're meant to be doing, that they are following a policy. They've got to prepare and publish equality objectives at least every 4 years. So they'd be printing material for public knowledge to show them that this is what we're aiming for. In terms of equality and diversity, we want a company that treats everybody equally. They've got to show that publicly. Okay, the Equality Act says public authorities should think about the need to eliminate unlawful discrimination suffered by people because of a protected characteristic. So they've got to have sanctions in place for those who discriminate. So they've got to make sure that as well everybody's needs are catered for. They've got to meet the needs of people with protected characteristics. So that means people of different races, gender, sexuality, religion, all those things that we looked at in the past that showed people who could experience discrimination. They've got to try and advance equal opportunities for all. For example, make sure ramps and modified desks are in place for those who need them. Make sure that women and men are being paid equally for the same work or the same skill level. Encourage people with protected characteristics to participate in public life and other activities. So to show the public that those people are being treated equally and they're being catered for. So if there's a company open day, they might take part in that. They might be part of the company's advertising, showing that they do have people of different races, different religions, both men and women working together equally. So use those 3 short paragraphs to write your answer for question 10. That concludes the lesson. So make sure that you answer the 3 questions and put your answer as a full paragraph in box 8, box 9 and box 10.